The Wonderkamer, just like the song says. This is the Wonderkamer. We are your three dilettantes, ready to take you into our cabinet of curiosities and pull something off the shelf and show it to you. So I believe this week, as I always am, I'm your host, co-dilettante Jen Rempel. I'm here with...
This week, I am Dave Powell.
And I'm Tracy Anderson Powell.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yeah, that's right. Same week as every week. And this week, I'm especially very excited. We are dilettantes, but don't let that fool you. We put a lot of time and effort into these episodes. And Dave has apparently put a lot of time and effort and madness into this episode. So I'm very curious.
So much madness.
Curious
Oh my God.
to hear the tale that will unfold. Dave, take it away.
Okay, so Tracy had an exceptional podcast about sex work on the prairies. And although I had started working on that at the same time, this is kind of a sequel. Although this is not specifically about sex work, the industry I want to cover has similarities and certainly can involve sex work, just in a kind of hyper-modern sense. So, come with me to hear the tale of a gold rush, of the terminally online and chronically ill, puppeteering only the finest of big titty anime girls.
Oh, no.
This is the story of VTubers. Have you ever heard of what a VTuber is, Jen?
This is a world. Okay, this is a world that I have seen glimpses of through other people's phones, and I didn't like what I saw. Don't especially have an interest in it. I don't even know. I know the barest outlines. So please, Dave, enlighten us. I'm scared.
Well, my job is not necessarily going to be to make you like VTubers. My job is to make you respect them as laborers. Now, that said, I have developed a bit of Stockholm Syndrome. I would not say that I am a gigantic fan of streaming, but I will get into what it is because I am speaking to this for an imaginary audience who have never heard of the term before.
Mhm.
So,
Speaking of Stockholm Syndrome, why don't you tell us a little bit about the coffee?
I'm going to wait for that for part 2 because this is a two-parter. The
Okay.
coffee is going to be a two-parter because I have opinions about the entire coffee situation, but that's a teaser, particularly for anybody who knows the industry.
Coffee?
Teaser. So VTubers, or virtual YouTubers, are online entertainers who combine aspects of live streaming, Japanese idea of anime and idols, and degenerate internet culture. So they are online performers who perform through an animated model or avatar which is rigged to their movements. So they're closely associated with...
no.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
There you go. They're closely associated with anime and mostly display anime-style characters, but not necessarily. VTubing is of Japanese origin and is massively popular in Japan. It's a global export in the English-speaking world, and if I sometimes refer to America, it's where it's most popular outside of Japan, but it's really globally through language groups rather than nations.
Sure.
And the word mostly is going to be used a lot here because every rule has an exception, except for one I'll get to. And mostly means a 70-30 ratio, which is weirdly prevalent in the industry. Every time I say, well, how much of this is this and how much of that is that? 70-30. So, yes. Now, I'll hand wave the history for time. VTubing came up with the rise of the internet, but didn't catalyze until its current form until the late 2010s or so, thanks to surging improvements in virtual reality equipment and male loneliness.
God. I'm in for a nightmare.
Oh, you're going to love this, Jen. It kicked off wildly in the COVID-19 pandemic as everyone went home and VR chats made animated avatars more normal to people and a little less strange and alien because these are puppets. And I really don't want to think of this as a form of puppeteering.
Well, all I know is, Dave, I'm not a cat. Now, that's a callback to COVID days, if anyone remembers.
Yes, I do remember that.
Not a cat.
Kind of the same vibe as like a Snapchat filter, but then turned up to the extreme.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, whole history, and I don't need to talk about it. Everybody knows who Hatsune Miku is anyways.
Question, though.
The baffled expression on Tracy's face.
I was gonna say, I do. because
Amazing.
a sibling of mine specifically loves Hatsune Miku, and we went to a Hatsune Miku expo in
Really?
Vancouver last year. Yeah, and it was a big ripoff because they didn't even have, holograms, it was just a big screen. Anyway, yeah, Hatsune Miku, I know who that is, but I would say the average person would not.
You know
And
so
Yeah,
much
I
more
know.
about this stuff than I already imagined, because hologram shows are a big part of this.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Just to help Tracy,
Mhm.
Yes, please.
Hatsune Miku is still a massive and even growing phenomenon.
Yeah.
She was originally a computer program and still technically is. There is a synth software called Vocaloid, and Vocaloid allows you to press a key, and then that key will be a person saying a syllable. Particularly with how Japanese works, you can play a song with a woman's or man's voice singing an entire song according to the keys you play, and it actually sounds pretty great. It doesn't sound natural, but what it lets you do is perform and compose really complex songs that are difficult for a normal singer to perform. And
Oh.
every sound bank with Vocaloid had a character associated with it, a very Japanese way of doing it. So this sound bank, like Woman Voice B, is Hatsune Miku, this blue-haired girl. And she became this mimetic sensation where she's like now a fully fictionalized character and people are fans of Miku, the fake character, who has a woman behind there whose voice is being used to program the Vocaloid. But it's a whole phenomenon, and it is not VTubing because Hatsune Miku is not a real person, no matter how much people want that. But she was vital in the creation of VTubing because a basic concept, which is huge in Japan and is growing in the US, is falling in love with fictional characters.
Oh.
Yeah. That's so see, I like dark and ghoulish
Mhm.
shit, but this is where I'm like, "Oh god, that's too dark for
Oh,
me."
we're getting into
That's
it.
just sad.
So,
Oh god. Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm not
uh,
sure how I feel about it at this moment.
well, I tell you what, I kind of knew in writing this that this would be something that would repel you both, genuinely. Uh, there
So you
is
carried on with it anyways.
oh, it's such a story, I have to tell it, but I have an admiration for the craft
that's how we
and
learn.
also, as Tracy knows very well, an affinity for weird online stuff.
Yes.
Although I don't think I'm going to be settling in and watching 4 hours of VTuber streams every night, or just putting it on as comfort food while I do something else. I like watching the clips, and conversant with some of the VTubers. Could say I'm genuinely a fan of a few of them at this point, and hopefully I might be able to convert a
Interesting.
couple of you. But if not, it's okay. You're allowed to not like something, and that's also going to be part of my rants throughout this. So,
Well, and that makes it more interesting, and
yeah,
again, frankly, it is I'm prepared to be, like, disgusted and disturbed,
Yeah, me
which
too.
again, for me, it's kinda
yeah,
fun. We'll just see what level it goes to.
absolutely. You are going to be. By the way, this is not a happy story I'm going to tell, and you are
No.
going to be disgusted and disturbed a lot. But again, not necessarily by the performers, although some get up to some weird stuff.
No,
That's not today's story. Um,
it wouldn't be the performers I would be disgusted
yeah.
by.
So, talking of the performers, I want to talk about the work they do. So, streaming
Mhm.
means you're live on camera and that there is an active chat of people watching your avatar and a few moderators who keep the chat in line. Almost all
Mhm.
VTubers will stream themselves playing video games. That's the bread and butter of the work. Many, however, are singers who record, sing live, and do hologram shows, usually doing J-pop style music. Hand cams are a popular alternate stream where you just show your hands, like making food, reading tarot cards, so that you're anonymizing yourself, but maybe showing a little bit so that you can mix it up. You're always looking for content because you need people to be engaged and paying you because they are doing this for a living.
So the
Uh,
hand cam is not a fetish thing.
I mean, it can be. I'm not going to dive into that, but
Oh,
I'll talk about it more in part two.
Literally everything's a fetish thing to somebody, I feel,
yeah.
especially on the
It
internet.
can
Yes.
be, it is not necessarily. If somebody is,
Sure.
but if someone's filming themselves cooking, there are definitely going to be people who are absolutely into the hands because they're hands and like that. Other people are just happy to see their waifu, which is the Japanese term
Mhm.
for the fictional person you're in love with, doing something fun like cooking, because cooking's entertaining to watch.
Dave here in the editing room. I knew and know that VTubers are not waifus because VTubers are not fictional. The correct term is Oshi. I will continue to screw this up throughout all 3 episodes. And yes, there are 3.
VTubers also collaborate heavily, and you may see multiple on screen at any given time. Now, I'm going to show 2 of you a compilation of clips, just the first minute or so you can get a taste of what this is like. So I'm going to show you, link a YouTube video here.
A few baffling moments later.
You're fucking glowing! You're glowing! You're fucking federal agents! Fuck you! Fuck the government! I don't trust any of you fuckers! You will harvest us! Your whole existence, your whole reason for being is to fucking control the population!
Hey, that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Wow.
I don't. So there are things in the world that I have. First of all, I'm always amazed by how much of the world is a total mystery to me. Right? Things like
That's
that.
part of the fun, yeah.
Zero interest whatsoever. I feel zero interest in watching more. No appeal whatsoever. So can you explain to me? I mean, again, there's no accounting for taste, but I have just zero interest in that kind of stuff. To me, it's just screechy, irritating, mental illness.
I mean, there's a lot of.
And I have
mean,
that at
she has
home
some
by
good-
myself.
Look, good points about the system, sure, but that's not the voice I want to hear it in.
I will talk about that last VTuber, Pipkin Pippa, extensively in part 2 because she is fascinating. But Tracy, what did you think?
Oh boy. Now, I kind of enjoy watching people stream video games. That I did not enjoy.
That's fascinating. So,
Like a walkthrough of the classic, like Alone in the Dark. Oh yeah, I'd watch that.
love that
But
game.
it's not somebody commenting over it with a horrible voice, being just mean and nasty.
Well,
It's the immaturity. It's puerile, I guess is my
Yeah.
a lot, and it's interesting. A lot of it is puerile. A lot of it kind of isn't. And I had great difficulty trying to figure out a clip compilation to show you. But a lot of it is very pleasant voices is actually a big part of VTubing. And I'll get into that. But particularly in Japan, the very musical, sort of like soft, gentle, and pleasant voices are a huge part of this. And I showed you people being really obnoxious because it was a funny clips compilation, but that was like a minute out of maybe a 4-hour stream.
Sure.
I'd
Except
like to
for-
point out how none of us laughed.
Oh, I was dying
No.
at the conspiracy rant. But yes.
I'm
But
just
that
like,
was-
yeah.
And but this is again where it's, and I'll get into why people like this, and explaining why people like this is actually kind of a part of this, because
Greatest
and
mystery.
this confirmed my thought. This is at best uninteresting and at worst actively repellent to the 2 of you. Which again, and I want to stress to anybody who, if any VTuber fans or anyone in the industry watches this, it's fine. People don't have to like everything.
Look, I'm ignorant, but I'm already feeling myself being a hater. So you said we're gonna see if I catch the Stockholm syndrome.
Beautiful. So let's explore video games a little bit. Video game streaming. So one of the reasons it's so popular is watching another person play a video game is kind of comforting. And a streamer themselves can be appealing, funny, entertaining, a good hang, really good at video games, or just like unhinged and kind of a delight to watch the car crash. Streaming is also a boys' club, with most Twitch streamers, the primary platform for streaming in the US, being men, and most fans of Twitch being men as well. So it's men performing for men.
Never goes awry.
Oh god. As I get further into this, I also want to underline that VTubing is an insane rabbit hole. This is hideously complex. There's an ecosystem of streamers, artists, fan conventions, live shows, merchandise, a whole genre of news tubers who I am very grateful for their work, who provide the news and drama because there is so much gossip. And it is wild gossip. And that's part of what we're talking about here. And the fans are online fans, and anybody who is in any kind of fan sphere online knows that fan bases are terrible and are in constant conflict with everything, anything associated with the industry. if we do not get any hate mail from a VTuber fan, I have failed.
Okay, we welcome their hate.
You can send that hate mail to contact@thewonderkamer.ca.
Thank you, Tracy.
I'm
You're
going to
welcome.
talk a little bit about what I'm calling anime style with air quotes here as well, because there
Mhm.
isn't a good word for this, which fascinates me. But people know what I mean when I refer to it. And it's an
Mhm.
artistic, I don't think genre is right. It's a movement of anime, manga or comics, and video games from Japan that have the anime look and the anime conventions. And I mean, conventions as in tropes, not conventions as in the live event. They have those too, though. So people know anime style by its character design: big eyes, strong lines, and hugely exaggerated features. The style,
Dave, let it be known that Dave was doing the gigantic titties.
yeah.
'Cause yeah, that's the thing. And that's what repels me too, like basketball, it drives me insane. And I'm not gonna get my feminist rant right now, but anyway, I'll let you continue. But yes.
Well, I'm getting into this. This is a feminist story, very explicitly. This is a very youthful style as well. It's common for the protagonists to be teenagers, and most of the fans and the basic fans are teenagers. But because it is this anything goes style of animation and art, stories of any kind are told, which means it can
Mhm.
be massively popular with adults, with telling very adult stories. And I don't necessarily mean like sexual, I can mean like
Grown up.
transgressive, dark, disturbing, grown up, weird, etc., in ways that
Stories about doing your taxes.
exactly. There's tragic yaoi manga about doing your taxes. And tied into this are character conventions and storytelling conventions. And there were names and definitions in Japan that categorize these conventions in a way that just doesn't exist out here. So, for
Mhm.
example, there's a trope of a beautiful love interest who becomes obsessive and deranged as you get to know her, right? We're
Yes. I read a lot of manga, graphic novels in
oh,
Japan.
there you go.
Not
So,
like the manga series, but yeah, it's and I have a hard time with it because it is so like I just roll my eyes at so much of it.
right, and so
Yeah.
Jen's familiar with this, and for Tracy, there's a word for this trope, and it's called yandere,
Okay.
right? And so there is a giant categorical list of different character types where not only applies the type, but even the story arc, just with a single word.
Mhm.
Same way there is the word isekai for the a story where the protagonist is transported to a fantasy world, which is
Okay.
something we're familiar with, but in anime style in Japan, there's categorical terms for this, and fans kind of put together these terms like Lego blocks, searching for the perfect manga.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
and again, it feeds into that comfort food thing, which is why this associates so well with streaming,
Mhm.
because not only can be artistically challenging, but a lot of it is just familiar and validating. And finding a yandere streamer, which I'll talk about, might be the exact itch that a fan needs scratched.
Mhm.
Voices are also hugely important because VTuber performers, they puppeteer models, and the voice work is vital. These voices fit character types, and your typical youthful anime girl, which is the default, tends to have a breathy, high pitched voice. People also mix it up, though, because as you saw in that clip, we saw just a normal woman's voice ranting insane conspiracy theories about the government. That wasn't
Mhm.
a cutesy, high pitched voice, but that's part of her charm, and she upends the style. And models can also get really weird with a voice that deliberately doesn't match the model as part of the fun. So,
Okay, that I'm a little
Sure.
more interested in.
I'm just imagining a tiny little waifu being like, "Hello, I'm here
Yeah.
to serve." Like, you know what
okay,
I mean? Like
one
this
sec. I
demon
gotta.
voice.
I actually cut this clip, but I'm going to show it to you now.
Like that could be kind
Uh,
of fun.
I'm going to show you a clip of Tonkatsu Sinclair, who is the first VTuber I became familiar with.
I
So
see.
I'm just going to find the clip. It's going to be
Are you
very
gonna say
short.
obsessed, Dave?
When you see Tonkatsu Sinclair, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
There's the
Nice.
video, and we'll just click on it because it'll open pretty quickly, and it's
Yeah.
short.
Surprise, motherfucker! Yeah, you thought you were getting some spank material, but you're getting a reality check, homie. Look at you, skulking around the internet in the middle of the night looking for anime girls saying, "Ara, ara." You want some ara, ara? Okay. You ara, ara, creepy weirdo, and you oughta be ashamed of yourself, you fucking degenerate. Go. Go to weeaboo jail. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did. You have dishonored your family. Take a shower, stop looking at anime titties, and get a girlfriend, for Christ's sake. You disgust me. Like and subscribe.
That's good. Only one you need. That's
So,
the only
yeah,
one you need to watch. Great.
uh,
I can get behind. Love it.
yes,
Yeah, me too.
Tonkatsu Sinclair is hilarious. Bad takes on Amber Heard, but whatever. Nobody's
Ah.
perfect. Yeah. I'll actually talk. Weirdly prescient. Anyways, so I want to talk about gender in anime because it is wildly important, and I want to kind of talk about why do anime girls look like they do. Anime style comes with a paradox. So Japanese culture is famously strict, and particularly so for gender expectations. There's a great deal of homophobia. And
Mhm.
because this is a very strict culture with a lot of reinforcement, not from above, but from the community as well. And when we talk about fans reinforce this like nothing else. There is a rebellion against those social norms. And the Japanese stuff I like is all from that rebellious side of things. I really like rebellious Japanese music, for example. And I think some of the
Dave?
weirdest and best transgressive art comes from Japan, from people
Mhm.
who are saying, no, I'm not going to be contained by this. And what's interesting is that although they very strictly reinforce these social norms, the culture industry of this rebellious art is huge and widely
Mhm.
exported. So what we have is we have a heteronormative space where women and men have to be exactly just so, but at the same
Mhm.
time, there is an entire industry of gay manga, like Yaoi and Yuri, where most queer people I
Which
know under
are
40 yaoi is the term for erotic man on man love, yuri, erotic woman on woman.
okay.
And most queer people I know, particularly under 40, consume boatloads of the stuff.
Hmm. Okay.
And it's from from this homophobic culture. So
Mm.
and both of these come at the same time and intermingle. And so the art style, character tropes, and all of that is still very much affecting the queer transgressive side of things. Like everybody
Mhm.
knows about how absolutely wild hentai gets, which is sort of the pornographic side of anime style, and
Mhm.
how it breaks every possible boundary of even remote taste. And that's because you can, because it's cartoon. And so
Mhm.
they do that in this transgressive way, even though these extremely strict heteronormative forces play down upon it. And this all
Mhm.
intermingles in this very complex cocktail of gender, and that affects VTubing massively.
Mhm. Well, here's the thing. I'm coming off as a massive prude. I don't dislike sexual content, erotic content. That's fine. I love Julia Gaffrer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, comic artist. Lots of erotic content, very
Mhm.
explicit, but it's not misogynist. And it's original, and it isn't buying into these tropes, and maybe it is sometimes playing with them, playing with gender roles and stuff. But to me, it's not the erotic content that bothers me. It is the
It's the misogyny.
misogyny.
No, and there's
Yeah,
so much
I'm
of
not.
it.
I have nothing against no. Like I like some of that myself. I support a lot of artists who produce erotic content, and it's fine. It's
Mhm.
just yeah. It gets and again, it's good to be challenged and it's good to feel squicked out, I think. But
The misogyny is a huge thing, and it's
it's
also
awful.
it bothers me too,
Yeah,
and one of the reasons I only go so deep. And again, the
same. Yeah.
misogyny isn't in everything, although that is it's intrinsic to the style, but also there's
Mhm.
the backlash at the same time, and you have to understand the rebellion and backlash against the misogyny because most of the music art, and I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, as you two know. I love female Japanese pro wrestling, and a lot of it is unbelievably violent, which is again something pretty little girls aren't supposed to do. It's
Right.
rebellious,
So
and
just
I love that rebellion, and so
oh
that's a
yeah.
part of it. But
Mhm.
these strict gender roles are also a part of it, and there's this kind of dialectic play going on.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Tracy, I'm a prude.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that erotica never comes up in what I read or consume.
Interesting. Hmm.
So what we need to do is get Tracy some properly horny, non-misogynist manga. So now,
Yeah, we can find that.
oh,
Sort of.
absolutely, you can find anything in manga. It's kind of you have to search, which is why there's a million different keywords and terms, right?
I will send you
80,000.
yeah, oh yeah, The Walking Man.
Yeah.
It's a graphic novel, I believe, from the 80s or 90s. The Walking. I forget who did the art, but it's just a guy walking around Tokyo with his dog, and it's beautiful.
I love
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah.
So VTubing is gendered labor. And this is the thing I really want to
Yes.
play at here. And this has the dual forces of male fans and the companies involved in VTubing, which is the entire point of this podcast, and we've barely got into it, enforcing patriarchy. It is women employed by men for the pleasure of men.
Yep.
Ah,
That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
And both the companies and fans will enforce these norms to ensure women behave like they want them to behave. But there is also a really queer underbelly to VTubing. Because if you can get some motion capture equipment, get a model designed, you can go on and present yourself, present your gender and perform your gender in any way you want. So that is tremendously freeing to a lot of people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's most VTubers perform independently, and I'll talk about corporate and independent VTubers right away. But they're not the big money makers and major names in the space for the most part. And that means female VTubers, particularly most of the big names, are exaggeratedly feminine. And that is, in fact, an expectation and convention of anime style because of all these forces playing on it. So your default popular female VTuber will have a breathy high voice in a pleasant manner, who will have moments of being an unhinged gremlin. And with the women, they vary in look and have a few common types of model, right? So there's like types, with obvious major exceptions. And as I said, in VTubing, there's exceptions to every rule except for one. The one rule in which there are no exceptions is there are male VTubers, and every one of them is a vampire twink.
Of course.
Oh, boy.
Every one of them.
Right.
I'm going to show you
Interesting.
our first
Yes.
our first picture, and it's going to be of the various generations of male VTubers in a major VTubing company I'm going to cover in great detail called HoloLive. Let's just put that here. Nope, that didn't work. How do I upload a file again? And so this is the wide variety of different men that the biggest VTubing company in the world showed you. Arguably the biggest. They're
Hey,
all...
one sec, I'm still copying the link. How long does it go on? Does it work? Like, it's not even
I see what's happening here. 1 second. Bang, bang.
It's not a hyperlink. It's
No. It's a link
Yeah,
to my
this is-
desktop. I realized what happened
Oh, well, there's
here.
my problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it though.
There we go. Open
Just
link
very
in new
small.
tab. Open image in new tab. There we go. Copy image. So let's try this again, Jen. Oh my god, this is a train wreck. I had assumptions about VCast
Okay.
Zencaster's capabilities, which were incorrect. Not like this isn't our 7th episode or something. Bang, try that link.
Okay.
You know what? 7th episode, we're still podcasting babies. And again, we're dilettantes, so like I say.
Yeah, we're not allowed to be good at
Yeah.
anything. Just
No,
interested.
we have to just be interested and flakes about it. Okay, so this is top to bottom, early to now.
Yeah, the way VTubers work is they are released in waves, kind of like boy bands, right? Or girl bands, where they're all kind of collaborate within their own wave. They collaborate outside of it, but they're meant to be a team. And so, and I'll get into idol culture and how that works very shortly. But if you look at them, they're all vampire twinks.
Yep.
And so I want to be clear to any listeners we have. If anyone wants to point out a male VTuber who is not a vampire twink and say, Dave, you're obviously wrong. Here are the exceptions. No, fuck you. I will fight you in a Denny's parking lot and slim slam your fucking face into the pavement. All male VTubers are vampire twinks. Okay? Good. Now.
Yeah, my sib who likes Miku, I'll ask them. Do you know of any VTubers who aren't vampire twinks?
There you go.
See what they say.
So this is where so the gender spiel goes into why VTubing is big with female performers. Twitch streaming and other forms of online streaming, because in Japan, video game streaming is mostly done through YouTube, is like a shield against much of the harassment women face. Not all of it. They get a lot of harassment, but you're not showing your body. You don't have your real name. You don't have identifiable features that can have the creeps and weirdos go after you in the same way. So,
Smart. Yeah. I'm sorry.
and-
So they're women performing as vampire twinks.
No, sorry. My mistake. I'll also talk about that. Most of the time, a male VTuber model is going to be performed by a man, and a
Okay.
female VTuber model will be performed by a woman, and I mean cisgender on either side. However, there are very much
Sure.
cases of, like with Tonkatsu Sinclair, where it's a
Oh, yeah.
bit. That is very much a
Mhm.
man performing a woman's model, and in some cases, it is deliberately unclear and androgynous and
Mhm.
gender bendy. There is one
Oh.
VTuber I know where the gender of the performer is, it's like a double bluff. Where, let's say I'm a man pretending to be a woman online who's playing a man, that kind of deal.
Okay.
And if you can do the voice work, you can do whatever you want, right?
Hmm.
So again, it is this a way of like entry into this world of entertainment. Also, frankly, for people who aren't like, because it's so essential for a woman online, like conventionally beautiful, right? If you
Yeah.
don't look like a
Mhm.
magazine model or like an ideal e-girl, you're going to get hate online. And so because of that, you can
Oh, even
do
if
whatever
you
you
look
want.
like an
Well,
ideal.
yeah.
No, you get a
Yeah.
different kind of hate. You get hate no matter what, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then that's a huge part of this is because it's performance for men and the large online groups of men. And again, for anyone listening, if you hashtag not all men thing, I'm taking you down to the Denny's parking lot. Obviously, it's about the force of a large group of people where you will have enough of that number in any population who are harassing psychopaths. And that's a guarantee for any woman
Mhm.
who's performing online. It's not about you, it's about the cohort, the larger group. So,
Yeah, this guy gets
anyways,
it.
yes. And of course, because this is entertainment of women for the pleasure of men, VTubing can get really sexualized. Models are often designed to show skin, and it's more like naughty a lot of the time, or even just a little implied. Some VTubers are extremely chaste and openly like asexual and completely uninterested in sex, and that's part of
Mhm.
their thing, and legitimately so. However, many are extremely lewd and there are outright pornographic VTubers, which is a whole weird world.
Yep.
It's
I
the
imagine.
entire thing is because and so it's anything for content and success. To give you an example, when I was looking up different VTubers, I found one VTuber's social media, and the first thing I saw was a woman's foot in a bowl of ramen.
Yep.
Oh god.
I assume it's only that, like, honestly. If we're being honest, is it not 99%? I mean,
No, it's actually it's a lot, but
mm,
it's not as much as you'd think, even though
okay.
there's a lot. Um,
Okay, because I think there was a lot.
yeah,
Mhm.
like for example, lewd tubing or adult tubing, that kind of stuff. Many of the major names just don't do it, and in fact, I'd only say one is really well known for it, which is Project Melody. We'll talk about in part two. The industry is also accessible to people who might have difficulty finding work elsewhere. It is
Mhm.
it genuinely has saved the lives of some chronically ill people or people who are otherwise disabled. And I don't think I'm speaking out of class when I say most VTubers are mentally ill, sometimes extremely. Um,
Mhm.
some of the top VTubers on the planet are, and I say this with utmost love and admiration, deranged shut-ins. Like the kind of people who never
Mhm.
leave their room. This is a job they can do, right? And there are people who do that for all sorts of different reasons. I mean,
Mhm.
particularly in Japan, there's a word I don't recall for it. Um,
Hikikomori?
yeah, Hikikomori, exactly.
Is that
Uh,
it? Yeah.
yes, one of my favorite wrestlers, Mayu Iwatani, was Hikikomori. So,
Really?
oh yeah, she's again another podcast where God help Tracy when I info dump about that. So, and the top workplace hazard in VTubing is psychological because this is about labor and this is a
Right.
labor story. So, because of all these factors,
Interesting.
anonymity is fiercely guarded. Fans can be dangerous whether through like positive obsession or becoming antis, a kind of negative obsession where
Oh
I'm in
god.
the fan space and I want to destroy you. Antis are a
That's
huge problem.
that is
Wow.
terrifying because what you're describing is a bunch of, for the most part, mentally ill shut-ins interacting and becoming obsessed with other mentally ill shut-ins. And then
Yes,
it's not a good cycle. That's and it's just
right.
and I said that without
And like
judgment. Like people need assistance, and if somebody wants to be a shut-in, that's their choice. But it's a scary dynamic that sounds like it's building here.
that's exactly it. And there
Mhm.
is and I want to be clear, loads of VTubers touch grass, loads have no choice but and again, there's like people who are just chronically ill and have this as a kind of way. I don't when I say mentally ill shut in, it's not necessarily pejorative. It just
Exactly.
means
Yes.
that like it's
It's a
and like
statement of
it's an
fact.
insult meant with love, right?
Yeah.
And also the economy is such as it is that looking ways online to make money is a
Mhm.
huge thing, particularly for women, hence the explosion in OnlyFans. And
Mhm.
again, I want to be clear. Although plenty of VTubers engage in sexual content, I think even a majority don't. That might be wrong. Someone can correct me on that. I'm sure I'll get corrected on everything. So the other thing I do want to mention.
Contact at thewonderkamer.ca.
We welcome your corrections and your
And
hate.
because I keep
Yep.
talking about
You're
pro
allowed to.
wrestling, I do want to underline that VTubing is so similar to pro wrestling. The characters
Mhm.
they portray are a performance level version of their own personalities normally, although some will put on entire gimmicks with
Sure.
complex lore and pages of backstory that nobody will read. Um,
Well, wait,
the
wait,
ter-
wait. Are you saying the Iron Shake wasn't actually a shake?
are you,
Is what you're telling me?
I was about, he wasn't even, no, he actually was Iranian. It was,
Was he really? Oh.
yeah. Nikita, oh God, what the heck was his name? There was a famous Russian wrestler who wasn't Russian in the 80s, but he definitely wasn't a sheik. Wild guy
The
though.
Undertaker?
J-
Not
was
Not an
Undertaker.
Undertaker.
was and
No.
is still alive. Complete lie.
POS though.
Oh my God. Yeah, that dude should have never
Anyway,
retired and opened his mouth. So, but the
so
key
many
thing
people.
here is VTubers use wrestling terms. The term kayfabe is used constantly, which
Right.
Oh,
is
that
the
makes sense.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's the insider wrestling term for maintaining the illusion. So this is a labor story, and so the question is, what's the job? So VTubers operate independently mostly, but the bigger names are hired by talent agencies, which
Mm.
I'm going to go into great detail in because even though we're basically we're probably, I don't know, a half hour, 45 minutes into the final recording, I'm about to start the actual stuff I'm talking about. This is all preamble.
Well, gotta have context.
I can't dive
Crucial.
into the stories without understanding why this is and what this
Yeah,
is. So
exactly.
the job of a VTuber is extremely complex, and part of it is going to be managing your affairs because at first you rig up a model, you go online, play some video games, and you act a little wacky. There, okay, you good. Well, what happens if you get successful? What happens if you actually get what you want? You have work to do, and this includes, but is not limited to, commissioning art. VTuber models are very expensive, particularly the high-end elaborate ones with fancy rigging. They take a long time, and the art industry attached to VTubing is massive. You got to hunt down sponsors. You got to moderate your chats, normally
Sorry, real
done by
quick.
yeah.
Can you explain the rigging? So what you're saying is because I've seen images of people with like they're using motion capture and then having an artist create an avatar that they can use as an overlay. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
You say
so at
rigging, like
the very basic model you could do in the very least is, and I haven't looked into the rigging too much, but my understanding is you can get a headset that you attach a cell phone to. And the cell phone, like with a Snapchat filter, will track your eyes and mouth and head movement. And
okay.
then that, at
Mm.
the very minimum, you can rig onto your anime avatar, who will then have their head will capture your voice, and then the mouth and eyes move, and you turn your head, and you can also move
Mhm.
backwards and forwards. You can then, and it's common enough to rig up your hands either by holding. I forget the term for it, but holding like devices to track your hand movement,
Okay.
and then most and more elaborate VTubers will their entire body will be captured in motion capture hardware. So
Right.
a
Okay.
very famous VTuber, Fillion, rather than like a 2D avatar playing a game, she is entirely in 3D and is normally pacing around her room doing backflips and just being wild.
Hmm.
So it does vary, but the rigging is all over the place. So you can do it really cheap, but if you want nice rigging, it'll be thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Sure. So there's a scale here, but it's achievable for many people with an internet connection. Then. Mhm.
Dave in the editing room. I got a lot wrong here. Rigging is its own art form where most VTubers use a two-dimensional model which is then cut up and pieced back together with specific moving parts rigged to move per motion capture. The tracking is normally done through a good webcam or ideally a new iPhone. Three-dimensional rigging also exists for certain types of VTubers or for big events, and it requires a completely different animation process.
Yes, exactly. The bar of entry is reasonable, but the technology is a huge part of it. Not only do you have to work with your technology, you have to work with pain in the ass software like OBS Tracy and I dabbled briefly in video game streaming, and just setting it up is a nightmare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And market research on what you should be doing, dealing with your fans, organizing collabs,
Mhm.
dealing with other VTubers when nobody knows how to run a business and a lot of people are not well. Sorting out your presence in VTuber like live conventions, designing, sourcing, distributing merchandise. This is a logistical little empire attached to you. You have to
Right.
compose and perform music if that's your thing. So VTubers try to delegate as much as they can, and many of them, and in fact, most of them will hire a manager as soon as possible.
Mhm.
And there's usually a little industry surrounding each successful independent VTuber of paid and unpaid labor, which is unless you're, and again, the really good ones do know how to operate their business, but a lot of the
Mhm.
mid-level ones, it can be chaos with like, my partner is my manager and he's saying things to other people that don't represent me because he's kind of a dick. Lord, that's
Mhm.
not a story I'm covering this podcast, but massive dramas surrounding that. But the point is that there's an enormous logistical bureaucratic overhead to the work of being a VTuber. And so in this
Okay.
high stress,
Sounds more
emotionally
complicated than I
draining
thought,
job,
you know?
there is a lifeline for some people. And these are the Corpos, the great talent agencies which hire VTubers, pay for everything, set them up with a major brand and a guaranteed audience, and do all of that logistical work, which gets in the way of just playing video games and talking to chat.
Mhm.
There, they can stream to their heart's content, if the corpo's a big one, make good money, and be part of a team of colleagues with guaranteed collaboration. And
Mhm.
getting into a big corpo like Hololive or Nijisanji is like getting a full ride scholarship to an Ivy League. It is insanely
Mm.
sought after and very, very hard to get. It is a dream for most, not all, but most independent VTubers.
Hmm.
And this lets me move into the actual topic of the podcast,
Okay.
which are the talent agencies or corpos.
Oh,
So,
interesting. Okay.
yes, I'm going to,
Mm.
because this is a labor story, and who is exploiting the VTubers for their labor? That's
Mhm.
what this is about. And so, I have set the table with context, and now we shall dine.
Okay.
Itadakimasu.
Yay!
We're going to talk about Hololive first. Now, Hololive is owned by Cover Corporation and is one of the top 2 VTuber talent agencies in the world. They have branches in Japan, America, Indonesia, and run enormous live events and produce a ton of music. They are in close competition with Nijisanji, who will be my
Mhm.
second one I'm covering. Now, within Corpos, there is an actual company which will have a standard staff structure and so a bunch of employees and subsidiaries and international branches depending on how big they get. Like wrestlers, the talent are not employees. They are independent contractors.
Oof.
I know, who are in some
Mhm.
form of profit sharing model with the agency, where the agency will it varies all over the place. Some of them take a cut of everything. Some of them say you get everything from your subscriptions and your kind of tips through Twitch and YouTube, but we handle sponsors and merchandise. It varies.
Sure.
Hololive, I think, just takes a cut of everything. And
Mm.
so I'm going to, when I say talent, that's a contracted VTuber. When I say employee, that is a staff member working for the company under salary.
Okay.
So
Mm.
Hololive is very closely mapped on idol culture. Are either of you familiar with idol culture?
Vaguely. It's just, you know what? You gotta explain it.
Okay.
The name's
Uh,
familiar, but
No, I have no clue.
Wonderful. So do you know what K-pop is or J-pop?
Yes.
K-pop was the first thing I thought of in terms of idols.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it. It originates in Japan, but I'd say K-pop has kind of overtaken J-pop as an international phenomenon.
Yes.
So idols are performers who are marketed for their appearance, personality, and
Mhm.
talent. And they famously perform songs, either singly or in groups, that I can only describe as pop music on crack. Uh,
Mhm.
a real thing that I find fascinating about the entire thing of idols is the music is so much more complex, both melodically and just like I'm a musician and technically a composer. They're just going harder than what are fairly simple pop songs in the US. You
Mhm.
compare K-pop to like Taylor Swift, you're going in completely different things. K-pop is engineered to be like candy.
Taylor Swift is boring. I mean, in general, I find, but I couldn't imagine listening to like a K-pop track and then putting on whatever kind of boring
If
Taylor
you'd
Swift thing that came out recently. No
if
offense
you'd
to her, I wish her well. In that, I don't wish her any specific harm. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a well wisher. I don't have any feelings towards her either way, but I find her music bland. So yeah, you put her against some K-pop tracks. It's like you say, candy to broccoli.
I do like broccoli,
Sorry.
but I think I'll
Well,
take
I
the
do
candy.
too. I like broccoli too, but not as much as I like a freaking O. Henry or something.
Yeah, true.
any Taylor Swift fans who want to write in abuse specifically towards Jen, what's the email address again, Tracy?
Mm.
Contact at thewonderkamer.ca.
Is
For
that
the
looking-
record, I'm like,
I don't
there's a
really
few
actually.
Taylor Swift songs I kind of like. I think she's very good at what she does.
Oh yeah.
And what she does
Due
is not make
respect.
music for 45-year-old men. Anyways,
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yes, exactly. Again, all due respect, not a fan.
so idols are a cultural staple of Japan. And
Mhm.
although what makes its way over here is mostly music, idols entertain in any way you can think of. Hosts, online personalities, brand representatives. They can be like the official idol for like a town or region, influencers, actors, artists, models, softcore models called gravure,
Hmm.
adult video work, and my personal favorite, of course, which is female professional wrestling or Joshi Puroresu, who many companies use an idol style presentation. They also commonly work in groups, and for example, BTS, which are probably the most famous idol group in the world, they're an idol group. Talent agencies employ idols, and it's an industry with an infamous dark side, which is an entirely different podcast. And I mean podcast, let alone individual episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Especially, I will say, for women, Korean pop industry, you get a lot of suicides.
oh yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's brutal. And then, let's say, as somebody who lived in Korea, it is a very this is a generalization from quite some time ago, but when I was living there, it was extremely looks focused culture.
Mhm.
It is people are
Oh.
very obsessed with how you look and your personal appearance, being slim, having all this stuff. It's very, very. You put your photograph on your CV, right, when you apply for a job.
Oh, wow.
Plastic surgery is through the roof. Like, it's very a lot of stress.
Intense.
Very intense, yes.
Oh, you wait until you see the face of one of the people I'm going to talk about shortly.
Mm.
So this cultural pressure that Jen's talking about is intense on idols. And
Mhm.
VTubing, because it is inherently Japanese, Hololive and Nijisanji use an idol-style talent agency business to employ them. And idols, like VTubers, are subject to a lot of controls. So, with VTubers, the corporations normally own the intellectual property. When you join an agency, they will create your model for you, usually according to what you want. You pick your name and your model, but they own it. When you leave, you have to start with a fresh name and model, which is
Oh,
a
wow.
huge
Right.
deal, right?
Yeah.
They also will be subject to very strict NDAs, which is going to come up a lot.
Mhm.
Rules on who you can and can't collaborate with, how they deal with sponsors, etc.
Dating, personal relationships.
Yeah,
Can you have a boyfriend or not? Yeah.
you jumped on my next sentence, Jen.
Oh, I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
Oh, no. This is going into my first story. Idols are legendary for the implied no dating rule, just as you said. And although this is, as far as I can tell, not a legal contract restriction, it is something which is fiercely enforced by not just the companies, but especially the fans. And so the
God.
companies enforce it because the fans enforce it, and they want happy fans. Now, the job of an idol is to foster parasociality. And a parasocial relationship, which I'll explain for any fans who don't know it, is a psychological bond of a fan to a media figure. It is a one-sided
Mhm.
form of being enamored, which can escalate into outright love. But if you're a
Though I
fan
will
of
say, if you're a fan of us, we love you, and we want you to be our fan forever.
I am
And we
single
say-
and will date you, and so is Tracy.
Yeah, we're all single. We're all available to be dated.
Yep, I've never been touched
Yes.
by a woman, and I've never interacted with a woman before. Let's
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
all
brave
pure as a
Reuploaded.
driven snow.
And by the way, fans, if you happen to hear whiny dogs in the background, it's because our dogs have decided they're more important than the podcast. We will put dog pictures in the show notes. So,
Ooh.
although in fandom it is natural to foster parasocial relationships, as we hope to do with our fans, it is cultivated by idols and VTubers, certain types of VTubers. Idols want you to think that this gorgeous, perfect person who evokes the specific, like, highest standard of these extremely strict gender norms I was talking about previously, the ideal woman or man is available, single, virginal, and just there for you. In no way associated with the opposite sex. Fans who genuinely fall in love are called gachikoi. And along with them is another term, unicorns. Fans who insist that illusion, that kayfabe, can never falter. So these are the ones who lose their minds if they find out that an idol is dating.
God, you can't. Oh,
Wow.
God.
The idols are in a constant pressure cooker with a boiler on each side. Fans have their demands, and management want to make those demands happy. They have to keep the balance going on between both sides. Now, in VTubing, Hololive does not have a dating ban, but the romantic lives of their talents are never discussed by the company, and the sexes do not intermingle. Or if they do, they're rarely. Like, Hololive and Holostars are the female and male branches of the company, and they do their own thing.
That is interesting. Yeah, you don't tend to see intra-gender pop groups, K-pop, J-pop. You really don't, actually.
No, you absolutely don't.
Huh.
And again, there are exceptions to everything, and there is underground idol work, which I'm sure does all sorts of neat stuff. I don't really know about it, just that it exists. And also, in Japan, this matters way more than it does in the US.
Okay, yeah.
American fans, like, although there's always stories of, like, celebrities getting death threats because they start dating, it's nothing like what it is in Japan.
Yeah, women crying because Paul McCartney got married or whatever.
That's
And
the
it's
same
always
deal.
baffled me. It's like, you don't have a chance. But
Yeah.
it's the illusion.
It's about that fantasy,
Yeah.
and that fantasy can be deliberately cultivated. This is particularly true for VTubers who are romantically inviting as a part of their shtick. Again, Pipkin Pippa is not romantically inviting. Our conspiracy theorist ranter we talked about showed previously. However, somebody who is meant to be romantic, that's going to foster that parasociality on that level. So I'm finally going to tell our first actual story. So enter Iruha Rusia. And if you want, you can, let me just see if I can find a quick image of her. So Rusia.
It's not showing me anything. It's not,
Yeah.
image not working. You know what? Yeah, it's
Rusia Hololive. All right. So Rusia offers girlfriend experience. This means that she has a romantic pattern meant to draw streamers into an obsession with her. Obsessive fans pay big, and that means Hololive was happy to let her do her thing. And this, again, is risky because there's one thing to know you have obsessive fans. It's another thing entirely to deliberately stoke that obsession.
Yeah, that
nothing.
feels
I can't see anything
dangerous.
good coming out of that.
So
Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying that seems dangerous.
Yes. So the ethics of GFE and BFE, the boyfriend experience similarity to that, are subject to a lot of debate in the VTuber sphere because on one hand, consenting adults. On the other hand, casinos are run by consenting adults. Gachikoi are addicts, right? So this is, and ultimately, the bad guy here, I'm going to say, is complex and isn't necessarily Hololive in this, except that they let it happen. So Rusia is an incredible voice actor, and her streams are noted for portraying that anime trope I talked about earlier, yandere, which is a portmanteau of the Japanese words for sick and love struck. So her bit is to do a sweet girl with this musical voice who would reveal herself to be deranged and manipulative and obsessive. She'll go from like banter to blood-curdling shrieks in seconds, and even does like performances of like begging the fans not to leave her stream and like acting manipulative in a way they're aware of. It's like a fantasy toxic relationship.
That sounds hideous.
Yeah.
February.
Like, this is people who have warped understanding. They're either extraordinarily repressed and have warped views of what a relationship is. Because to me, that's fine. Carry on. Sorry.
No. Again, I would say
Hideous.
that most people that I have, because I've read a lot of discourse on VTubing and watched 80 million NewsTubers, most people don't talk about gachikoi in a positive manner, right? It's not healthy. It's really not healthy. But there's money to be made. So February 11th, 2022, Rusia is streaming and she gets a pop-up notification on her desktop from Discord. VTubers all use Discord. It is like the default mode of communication they have. And it's a tech in Japan and America, because Rusia is Japan. She is in Japan and performs in Japanese. It's a text message from a popular singer named Mafu Mafu. And Mafu Mafu performs Utaite, which is covers of Vocaloid song. So when I talked about Hatsune
Oh.
Miku and
Layers and layers of
right, and it's a whole
superficiality.
it's a whole subculture.
Mm.
Because Utaite singers are like kind of do virtuoso style singing because Vocaloid songs are notoriously hard to sing because they're on
Yes.
keyboards. So and they stream online a lot, right? And
Mhm.
Mafu Mafu offers boyfriend experience. And now I'm going to show you what he looks like. Notably, he hid his face for quite a while, but this is what his face looks like because he is an astonishing looking human.
Did he do a face reveal
Basically, yes.
at some point and everyone was stunned?
Yeah, face
I'm
reveals,
curious.
by the way, are a huge thing. 1 second, I am verifying I'm a human to look at this goddamn picture.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's
Vampire Twink.
unsettling.
He looks
No,
like
this
a
is
lizard.
so this is not a human in makeup. This is digital.
Here's the deal. I can't tell if that image is human in makeup or digital, but he really does look like that.
That's scary.
Wow.
This is a human being.
Yes. I originally had a clip of him performing, but you can look that up if you so wish. This is basically his appearance and manner, and there is a lot of After Effects, heavy makeup.
Yeah.
And for the fans at home who aren't keeping up with all the images, he has really exaggerated, sharp features in a way that is like Michael Jackson going too far kind of deal. And is
Very
that kind of
Mhm.
Yeah.
Vampire Twink, and the eyes look creepy. And if you listen to our episode on anatomical specimens, the eyes remind me of the Punished Suicide because they're kind of bloodshot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, ugh. And the pupils are very, if you zoom in, the pupils are all weird too. So this is a very creepy, to me, very disturbing image.
Yes.
and again, the big thing here is that when we talk about this feedback loop about appearance, here's another picture of when because we talk about the anime girls
This
and
is less
how
creepy.
yeah, that I think that's a more naturalistic picture of what he actually looks like.
Mhm.
Which isn't like exaggerated, photoshopped, and overmade up, but that is still like you get.
Unique.
It's kind of like how giraffes have really long necks, right? Giraffes have really long necks because of evolutionary pressures to get the tastiest leaves, because that's a food source nobody else was getting. And so the pressures of fans and companies lead into this feedback loop where you get these kind of exaggerated appearances.
Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
also fans loving it because he did boyfriend experience.
Mm.
So he is this dreamboat singer who looks like an ethereal fairy, singing these beautiful songs. Women are obsessed with him, and men are obsessed with Rushia. And he sends her a text message that pops up on her stream by accident. Here's the text translated to English. I'm finished with my streams and I'm getting ready to come home, Michan. And Michan is a pet name. Fans lose their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Accidentally popped up on the screen.
Oh, this I genuinely will see. It might not have been accident
Okay.
with Rushia, but I believe it was an accident. But
Oh, okay.
this gets weird.
Okay.
This was seized upon as proof that the two were in a relationship, which of course broke kayfabe.
Mhm.
Complete catastrophic emotional breakdowns. The fan groups went nuts and flooded the images of merchandise being destroyed, as well as playing sleuth and trying to see like hand cams and various streams like that to see if they had the same set of cups in the house. Because that's proof they live together if they both have the same little cup.
Wow.
So I'm going to show you another video. And once it's up there, just 3, 2, 1, click. This is a fan reacting to the Discord message.
I turned
That's
it
enough
off.
of that. Yeah, no, that's enough of that. You get the picture. The thing I
gotta
love
say-
is you can see everybody in Discord muting themselves as this poor guy is losing his fucking mind because his wife got a text message.
That's distressing, actually, to hear.
It is.
Oh no,
I find
No,
it disturbing. Yeah,
it's
screaming and-
devastating. It's
Yeah,
devastating, right?
Yeah.
And so it's I think most people would say that although the Japanese cultural industry is one of the best cultural industries in the world, genuinely, at the same time, there are cultural forces within Japan which are deeply unhealthy. Like with us, Lord knows, we're
Oh,
not
yeah.
speaking from a point of privilege,
Oh,
but
no.
deeply unhealthy in a very different way than we'll
Yeah.
find in Canada.
Mhm.
And this obsession with this anime puppet being romantically available to me is just wild. So
Because these are grown people. These are
Yes.
grown adults.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
And it's again, it's a whole cultural phenomenon in Japan, with concepts of I originally had like a page on moe, which I won't get into, but obsession and love for fictional characters
Mhm.
or these mythologized figures of the perfect man or woman who's just there for you, while everybody is so lonely. And it's just a whole thing.
Mhm.
So
We have this in our culture too, right? We have the
oh,
same stuff.
absolutely. We do. It
Mhm.
displays very differently, but,
Yes.
again, as VTubing and male loneliness epidemic, have you ever seen a more iconic duo? So, Mafu Mafu denies the relationship, and Rushia decides to make everything worse. Because this is a long weekend, and long weekends are important, her manager is not available. So she
Mm.
decides she needs to act independently to get ahead of the story, and contacts a notorious gossip streamer.
Oh.
Kore Kore. And Kore Kore blabbed everything she told him, burned her as a source. That is, I think she wanted to be anonymous and he named her immediately, and shared internal details about how HoloLive operates.
Mhm.
HoloLive immediately fires Rushia for breaking her NDA.
Sure.
And Rushia goes to ground. Mafu Mafu, who genuinely throughout all of this comes across as a very sweet person who was like a kind of weird, lonely guy who is trying his
Mhm.
best through this and trying to be a gentle person, pulls through a very tough time, but then it gets weirder.
Oh no.
So
Mhm.
this drama took place in 2022. January 24, a celebrity gossip magazine publishes an expose on Mafu Mafu showing
2024.
yes,
So 2
yes,
years later.
like a year and a half.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay.
yes, showing he had been married for 1 year, divorced, and was suing his ex-wife, who was certainly Rushia. Worse,
Mm.
the celebrity gossip magazine showed that Rushia was horrifically abusive.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Mafu Mafu comes clean publicly and admits to the marriage and shares some fairly horrifying details of verbal and
Mhm.
financial abuse. Rushia was cheating on him. They had a honeymoon set for Christmas, and she no-showed to cheat on him, and all sorts of like
Jesus.
bizarre, obsessive, controlling behavior. In wrestling, there is the term work, which means to work to the audience, and shoot, which means, oh, I actually hit you for real because I hate you. I'm shoot punching you, right? So working is the
Mhm.
illusion. A shoot is going to making it too real. And if
Mhm.
you work yourself into a shoot, it means you buy so much into the fantasy, you become the
Uh-huh.
fantasy. Hulk Hogan is
Uh-huh.
notorious for this. Rushia was a work yandere and turned into a shoot yandere. So
Oh
the
god.
pleasant and then extremely manipulative, controlling wife. So one of the most bizarre allegations is they bought a house, which she then got into and refused to let Mafu Mafu get into. And he finally divorced her because of the cheating, which meant that she didn't get to keep the house because of the fault in the marriage.
Mhm.
He found the house was full of garbage and trashed, and the only thing left was her dead cat's urn.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So,
I mean,
here's the thing.
because these are okay. These are real human beings. Like
These
I
are
picture
real
these
human
characters
beings.
walking around, but
No,
no, they're just people.
they're just people, right? And so it's very easy and maybe correct to paint Rushia as an unapologetic villain here. But my job is to point the finger at the boss. Rushia
Mhm.
is, self-admittedly, extremely mentally ill. But she
Mhm.
was a money machine for HoloLive. She was one of their top earners and one of the top earners of a tip system called Super Chats on YouTube, where you pay to get your chat featured so she'll read it out loud on stream.
Mhm.
She got more than anyone else in the world one year.
Really?
Yes, and so my primary
Hmm.
source for this particular story is a newstuber called Depressed Nusagi. He might not actually call himself a newstuber, but he covered the story. And doing GFE or BFE work is not only disastrous for the fan, it's bad for you. It's very poor for your mental health. You are farming a toxic relationship, and you have
Mhm.
somebody who is sick engaging in a job that does nothing but make her mental health worse. And
Yeah.
HoloLive let this go unchecked until it blew up, and it kept blowing up. Rushia Rushia claims she never disclosed her marriage to Mafu Mafu due to the implied no dating rule, which just made everything worse.
Mhm.
So, this is about how VTubing's a risky job. You expose yourself to extremities of human emotion writ large. Successful VTubers can have 1,000 people in chat at once, spamming adoration, Well, at the same time, someone's found their home address and is sending them death threats.
Oh, God.
So
Mhm.
I've a bit more on Hololive. And again, one thing I want to stress here is Hololive are far from the bad guys in the VTuber scene. They're not a horrible company insofar as any company is horrible. I would say they're big, they're financially focused, and they're kind of soulless. So, a next story is about Hololive really failing to protect talent. Hololive tried to expand into China because VTubing is huge in China, which is often seen through their YouTube equivalent Bilibili. Two of their Japanese talents, Kiryu Koko and Akai Hato, mention one word that you never say in front of a Chinese viewership: Taiwan.
Unit 731? Oh, sorry.
Now, they said this in Japan to Japanese streamers. One was like looking at her YouTube analytics and said, oh, hey, I get a lot of views in Taiwan. And the other one, probably being a little shit disturber, mentioned Taiwan again, and the Chinese nationalists found out while
Yeah.
Hololive is expanding in China.
Mhm.
So this kicked off a firestorm because the nationalist antis, again, the anti-fans, immediately became dedicated to the destruction of the personalities in the company. Hololive immediately suspended both of them and made two conflicting statements. One in English and that I'm aware of. There's probably one in Japanese, I don't know. But the statement in Bilibili was that they respected China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. In English, they suspended the two for divulging confidential information.
Right.
And it's the internet. People translate. Everyone got pissed off.
Yeah.
And although both talents returned from suspension, the antis kept hounding them. And there's a huge rabbit hole story I'm skimming over, but it's likely Hololive's Chinese talents, or a couple of them, were with the antis and in fact were deranged nationalists themselves. And so we're exacerbating the harassment and in fact may have been leading it. So Hololive are getting it from both the fans of the Chinese government, and it completely destroys their Chinese branch. Kiryu Koko returned with a giant fuck you to her haters before graduating, which is the idol and VTuber term for leaving on good terms, usually with a celebration. And Akai Hato is still streaming. But
Do you
this
mean
is
leaving in terms of quitting the industry or leaving the company for something else?
leaving the company. She might be streaming under a new name, but I didn't check into that.
Editing Dave here. Coco now streams as K-Son, who I speak about in part 2. She's extremely cool and a very successful voiceover artist.
Okay.
Most VTubers continue VTubing, but they will start up under a new name. The last Hololive story is, have you heard the tale of Gargura? So Gargura is the most famous VTuber of all time at this point. She debuted in 2020 with Hololive's new English branch with a young model in a shark onesie, and you can just Google Gargura.
They look the same. They're just little kids, little children. They look creepy.
Some of them are
Sharky.
very, very adult. Some of them are very, very, very adult looking. She like covered up in a shark onesie. It is a different look than the giant tittied anime girl. There are other things with that look I am refusing to go into, but it's a whole thing. So Gargura was an instant sensation. She's silly, joyous, very smart, and endearingly boneheaded. So smart but dumb at the same time. People love that shit. And
Classic bimbo.
well, and like a very quick-witted, smart bimbo, but also a klutz, and people find that endearing. And horribly bad at math, that kind of stuff, which absolutely feeds into like what men want in women. Yes, I want to make you.
Wait, this person is clumsy, bad at math, annoying, know-it-all, and I'm still single? This is what men want?
I think annoying know-it-all would be the incorrect term. I would say quick-witted and funny.
Well,
yeah,
I like to think I am. Like
yes, you are.
I gotta
All
get
you
my
need to be
teeth filed down. That's what I gotta do, I guess. Yeah.
and you need to wear a shark onesie.
Okay, then it'll get me that relationship. All right.
Absolutely. If you are
Yay.
interested in a parasocial relationship with Jen, contact at thewonderkamer.ca.
Yep. Please, yeah. You gotta be careful putting that out there
Submit your
because somebody will
application.
contact me and I will be like, okay. Anyway.
So,
you guys gotta get the applications. Yeah, that's right, Trace.
Yeah.
So Gargura was a sensation. I cannot stress how popular she was. Hundreds of thousands and then millions of subscribers in record times.
What year is this? 2020?
This is 2020 leading into 2021-22.
Sure. Okay.
So she launches during COVID, and this continues on, and her like giant fame kind of peaks in this past year, which is where the story sort of crests. Here's a quote from Skuchan, or Skuchan. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I normally look that up. Apologies. A Hungarian VTuber on Gargura. Gura is the face of it. I feel like when Gura debuted, that was the thing. That was the thing that boosted HoloLive into actual insanity. There was something about Gura that just hit the spot with literally everything. She was perfect. She was the right amount of cheeky, the right amount of funny. Her design was perfect. You don't know why her design was perfect? Dude, why do you think everyone is trying to become a fish now? She started the fish meta. Before Gura, no one was fish. Everyone was a cat. And she debuted, it was a beautiful silhouette, and everyone became a fish.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, yeah, I guess.
The VTuber Gold Rush was built on Gargura's back, who's a well-known hard worker, and got this level of mainstream attention from her association with the most hated sports team in Canada right now, the LA Dodgers.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Really?
the Calgary Flames.
Nope. Well, behind that, the Florida Panthers. But click on the YouTube video. So this is Gargura singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at Dodger Stadium, and she for a while was kind of a team mascot. So this is a star who was bigger than the industry itself. She was kind of the Hulk Hogan of VTubers, except she wasn't a racist piece of shit. And then in April 2025, she abruptly quit. This shocked everyone, including me, who at the time didn't know anything about VTubers. And her reason for resigning was vague and broadly stated disagreement with management. No great expose came, but what became apparent is that Gargura was this gigantic cash cow for HoloLive, and they were mercilessly grinding her for every dime they could get and pushing her more and more into being this like international superstar when she wants to do video game streaming, right? So, and it apparently was destroying her health. And although she left amicably, her animosity to the company was strongly implied. Her graduation song at HoloLive was a big event, and the lyrics were entirely themed about burning down something she had created. You know, not only her own brand, but likely HoloLive. So,
You know what, though? What I would say, good for her. Like, we talked about Kurt Cobain last time. Kurt Cobain, it's the same thing. It's capitalism is kind of the final boss in these stories where, again, management may have had some care for him, but it is get back on the road, go touring, make us money. This is what you're here for. You're here to make us money. And it's push, push, push. And apparently, I don't know, you know, Avicii, a musician that was also same thing. Push, push, push to go on tour. You burn out and commit suicide. So good for Gargura.
As a heads up for the remainder of this, I am absolutely shocked that although I will be talking about attempts, none of these stories about someone who like killed themselves, and I am shocked by that because it's going to get a lot worse. So HoloLive are the reason I'm telling the HoloLive story is to sort of frame the standard that other people measure themselves to. So Gargura has relaunched under a new name, Sumeko Saba, also fish themed, and appears to be enjoying a relaxed life as merely very successful rather than the most important person in the space. HoloLive is still a juggernaut and frankly pretty well thought of by fans despite the above because it only gets worse. They're very professional, very corporate. Their CEO is not like some young money waving around playboy, which is very common in the other agencies. However, the problems persist. At the end of October, streamer Hachama, also known as Akai Hato, had a complete breakdown on stream, sobbing hysterically through the stream she had to do, sharing stories about being extremely isolated and burning out. And the fans view is just like, oh my God, this person is crumbling in front of us. And she's put out there to perform and like can't. The VTuber grind can be brutal. But this is the nicest story I'm going to tell for the rest of this podcast, as we're going to move on to the black company. Black companies are a Japanese term for companies which are cruel to their staff.
Oh, God.
And with that...
You mean, you'd think it'd be all of them, but, you know.
Well, again...
The fact that there's a difference is disturbing.
HoloLive is cruel and... HoloLive is indifference, right? It is, our money is the only priority, and you have to keep up, which is very standard in corporate culture. And again, Japanese corporate culture is famous, but Lord knows Silicon Valley startup culture. And anyways, it's capitalism. But now we're going to move on to Nijisanji. Nijisanji is owned by Anycolor, and started in 2018 before Hololive. They were the first major corpo on the scene. There might have been smaller ones. They've been in competition since. And during their VTuber boom in the 2020s, early 2020s, their English branch, which is their focus, had a pretty good reputation with fans. They were respected and trusted and seen as a more ethical agency than Hololive. It's not the case today. So I'm going to start with a major 2023 controversy, which is the firing of Zion Lanza. And this is an amuse-bouche before we get to the really meaty one. So Zion Lanza debuted in 2022 and was a properly successful streamer and singer. Not their biggest talent, but successful. She was suspended by the company, and companies will normally do public suspensions if the stream schedule gets interrupted and then explain why to the fans. She was suspended for repeated misconduct and non-compliance with the company directive and was then terminated in March. Nijisanji turned the fans against Zion because she was the new kid and Nijisanji had a good reputation. The fans saw her as betraying something they loved, and she was severely harassed and doxed down to her home address being shared. Eventually, while she was suspended, in fact, so her suspension caused the fans to go after her even before the termination. Eventually, a friend of hers shared a Google Doc which detailed her side of the story. And again, in my day work, I do a lot of union work, and I've seen these kinds of impassioned defenses of somebody who feels they've been wronged by the company. And what it does is it shows Nijisanji is obsessively controlling and, importantly, hostile to VTubers who try to launch their own creative projects. Remember that a part of VTubing is I can't just play video games all day. If I want to be interesting, I have to be creative. And her attempts to be creative got coldly shut down by Nijisanji. She was constantly also penalized for violating small rules. This Google Doc reads like somebody who did not thrive, straight up, and every day she was stumbling into some new rule that she had no idea existed in the first place. And some of them are ludicrous. She got a copyright breach for covering another talent's song as a gift to them. They both work for the same company who owns the copyright. Off comments were wielded against her, like she said a game had a difficult user interface, and this was a comment which would be considered offensive by the rights holder. Like
you kind of can't win with that.
No, yeah, like you can't complain about the game you're playing, which is kind of part
That's
of
the
streaming.
point. You're supposed to be able to critique. It's called critique.
And everyone's favorite, she was in trouble for falsely claiming she was sponsored by a brand. The brand was D's Nuts.
Oh my god.
And she was like commissioning DEE''S Nuts merchandise as like a recurring bit. And so this was partially a English to Japanese translation issue, but also it was, in my opinion, reading this as kind of a labor thing, somebody who was stumbling right out of the gate with the company rules, and the company looked for anything they could do to hit her with, and just made things worse. When Nijisanji suspended her, they posted a public statement declaring they would act against the harassment and doxing. They didn't tell her they were doing this, and of course did nothing. While dealing with all of this, she was suffering from horrific chronic depression, isolation, and even her cat died. When she had her say, this started to turn fan opinion against Nijisanji, and she vanished from the scene, likely streaming under a new name. But this then leads us to the most famous Nijisanji story, which is the termination of Selen Tatsuki, who is currently known as Doki Bird. Selen was a very, very popular streamer for Nijisanji, and to this day is one of the biggest VTubers in the world. She encountered Zion's same issues with Nijisanji's coldness to her creative ideas. So, for example, she wanted an art competition for a new model because Nijisanji had like a token she won, which would let her get a new model, which are very expensive, and thought, oh, let's have fans pitch concept art. But Nijisanji refused to endorse this, wouldn't give a prize to the competition, and enforced absurd timelines on it, basically making it pointless. She tried to get international events going, which, again, would have been huge for the company and her. Nijisanji, no interest, only work with other talent in the company. Then Selen did something horrible. She made a music video. This was a cover song of a cozy little song on YouTube called Last Cup of Coffee by Lily Pichu. She had a vision for it, which involved bringing in past Nijisanji talent who are her friends as this big celebration. Nijisanji refused to pay for it, so she self-funded it for $15,000. December of 2023, she posted the video on Christmas, and Nijisanji took it down. She then very posted a very careful but heartbroken message about the video being taken down. And again, the reason the video was taken down is Nijisanji apparently did not clear the inclusion of former talent. So then things got weird because she went quiet. She then posted a strange message about being in the hospital after an accident, and fans noted that the apostrophe in it was not an apostrophe you find on English keyboards. Guessing it was written by her management team, because Selene is not in Japan, but Nijisanji
I was
is.
going to ask, where is this occurring geographically? Like the company's
Selene
Japanese.
is American,
She's Canadian.
and she works for Nijisanji EN, or English branch. But
I see,
the
okay.
English branch, I'm not sure where people are located on the English branch in America or the US. And I would say that when I talk about Nijisanji, I'm mostly focused on the English branch here, which is where the real horror stories come from.
Oh, interesting. So this is occurring in the States.
Yes, but I think
Or-
Nijisanji's staff are in Japan at the same time.
I see.
But there's again, it's a subsidiary of a bigger company. It always gets complex, but Selene is an English language VTuber. And
see,
part
okay.
of their English branch. So fans start to panic because she is beloved. And Nijisanji then took everything of hers offline and then terminated her, firing her for breach of contract. The termination letter was near incoherent because of translation issues, I think. But again, it was clear it was because it was the music video, which again was self-funded and endorsed by the artist. But the termination letter gets weird. It first notes that Anycolor, Nijisanji's owner, was attempting to work with her emergency contact in a vaguely defined sensitive situation. It then says that Selene had legally threatened the company and for whatever happened, and that they had destroyed her ability to continue her livelihood. And furthermore, mentioned that Selene claimed abuse and harassment by her management and other talent at the company. They published this to the fans.
Wait, yeah, that the company did?
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah, this is the company's statement to protect
so-
themselves. So
Mhm.
I think Nijisanji thought they could do the same thing they did with Zion, because all the fans turned on Zion. But the fans had become wiser, and this is something we see as a trend in VTubing, where they are less inclined to believe in the goodwill of the corpos, and the fans turned against the company instead.
Yeah.
And importantly, by saying Selene was being harassed by they used the term livers for their VTubers, so livers, the fans went on a witch hunt. Who hurt Selene? We're going to get you, right? And start massively harassing the other talent, trying to find out who was bullying their favorite. Spectacular act of self-sabotage. Only a boss could be that dumb. And then
Yeah, I mean,
and then Selene, now Doki Bird, finally posts on Twitter, because all of this is taking place on Twitter. I will not be silenced. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I've had to go on that damn site a lot. Doki Bird, I will not be silenced anymore. On December, I was hospitalized for an attempt on my life, which was caused by a buildup of bullying from within and being in a toxic and poor environment for numerous months that led to my breaking point. I requested to leave first, but on more neutral terms on the 26th of January. So, to recap, she paid for her own video, Nijisanji took it down, and in the fallout, she attempted suicide. Their response was to take over her social media account, block her access, and then impersonate her online, and then say they did all of this.
Oh,
wow.
So,
Yeah, that's fucked.
this is a PR disaster for a major company.
Well, yeah.
Fans start harassing everybody, and talent start going on hiatus with weird messages that, again, look like they were written by management, and Nijisanji's reputation continues to collapse. Nijisanji defends themselves in the following way, which is my favorite thing. On February 5th, 2024, Anycolor made the decision to terminate our affiliation with the Nijisanji EN liver, Selene Tatsuki. The impact of this decision on our financial results will be negligible.
Well, that's the thing. That's what matters.
Their stock fucking collapses.
Good.
wow.
Selene gets a hero's welcome returning to her old alias Doki Bird, and immediately makes more money than she ever made in Nijisanji. She revealed that she didn't make any money in Nijisanji because she spent $200,000 in the past year for projects Nijisanji refused to greenlight.
Oh.
So Nijisanji.
So what's the point then of signing up with these corpos? It seems like
it does vary, right? Because I think some of this is Selene. I think most Nijisanji talent make a pretty good living, actually. Because if she had $200,000 to spend,
Where'd that
still
come from? Yeah.
right, well, and that she had that money to spend, which meant she made no money, implying she probably made that much a year anyways.
Hmm.
Still, it's an indication that as she's trying to grow her career, the company cannot accept a talent doing something that isn't their idea,
Yes.
which is something anyone who works
Mm.
for a living is probably familiar with. Um,
Mhm.
so Niji Sanji decide to do their move. Everything has collapsed for them. They need to save face and recover the second biggest PR disaster in VTubing. Biggest one will be part 2. So what happens in
Curious now.
February of 2024, 3 major Ninja Sanji talents, who I'm not going to name because I'm going to shit talk them, post with very short notice that they will go live for a majorly important live stream on YouTube. It was notably launching at the same time as one of Doki Bird, formerly Selen's, big streams, so it's competition with her. In this stream, which is almost entirely black video and is now called the Black Stream as a part of VTuber lore, they read what is very clearly a pre-written message in their best concerned HR voice. The stream hosts stressed that these are their own words and they wanted to do this, and I actually believe them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no indication to this date that anyone was coerced into this.
Very shortly after this episode was recorded, one of the Black Stream members who graduated Nija Sanji and now goes by Zandu publicly apologized and made up to Selen. He implied he did not have the full story and that he was pressured.
And the clip's a long, tedious listen, so I'm not going to subject you to it. But the short version is that Selen's lawyer sent a document over to Nija Sanji summarizing her complaints. Nija Sanji shared that to the people in the stream who reviewed it thoroughly. This is lawyer to lawyer, and then it's being shared with her former colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And according to them, the document showed she was threatening to dox them, had secretly recording one of them, and that she had a history of failing to follow protocol and blowing up publicly in response to failing to follow protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Selen's defense was that the document was written as an info dump for her lawyer, was never meant to see the light of day whatsoever, and her lawyer finally asked her to send it over to Nija Sanji because they were refusing contact. The lawyer thought, let's just send this over to them and see if they'll bite. And their response was to see that it made Selen look bad and immediately share it with her former colleagues to turn them against her. Selen also mentions she had 2 suicide attempts, the second a couple weeks after the first was mentioned. And again, in this, they're talking seriously about Selen's health. We never want this to be about her health, etc., etc. But like, to rant briefly, this is heinous. I can't stress you how fucking gross it is that her colleagues went out to basically call her a crazy bitch in public in order to defend the company name. So I've dealt with horrific harassment in my union work, and employers love to imply we've done nothing wrong. This person's just a crazy bitch.
When really it's they've driven the person to such an extremity.
Right. And here's the thing.
Some cases where they explode or they freak out or whatever happens, and then they go, oh, well, look how crazy they are.
And Selen might not be innocent here, right? Like, Selen could have entirely blown up in public, had like oversized reactions to things, and manufactured her own problems by doing things she knows she couldn't do again and again. That is entirely possible. It doesn't matter. You don't sell somebody out like that. Because when it's your fucking coworkers doing it for the company, one of them is going to be next. Like, you have to have each other's backs. You all have the same relationship to your boss. So it was just heinous, and it failed spectacularly. The fans are now bloodthirsty with rage and on a witch hunt for Selen's bullies. Nija Sanji's dead to the fans. And her termination, again, tanks their stocks. They lose sponsors. They lose business partnerships. And Nija Sanji English has continued on and is slowly trying to recover its shattered reputation.
Right.
So
they're still going. Still, yeah.
Well, again, this is the English branch of a very large business in a billion-dollar industry. But still, this was a massive blow to Nija Sanji, and they handled it badly. Nija Sanji has a million more stories of less major news kind of deal, of bad treatment of talents, controlling behavior, and just shitty managers. They're considered a black company as compared to HoloLive, who, again, HoloLive are coldly professional. Nija Sanji, kind of evil.
Right.
Are you ready for it to get worse?
Oh, no.
It's going to get so much worse.
I mean, Bring it on.
Sure,
Yep.
a talent attempted twice, and the company's response was to get her coworkers to publicly name her as a backstabber.
Ugh.
But now we're going to
Yeah.
talk about a smaller company called Wactor. Wactor. I really want to call it Wactor, but it's Wactor. They also
it's like
started.
a reactor.
Yeah, So they start in 2018 as a small agency out of Japan and hit upon a real moneymaker. They had Spanish speakers. So when 2020 hit and everyone goes inside and the VTuber gold rush kicks off, they become the only market with Spanish speakers, particularly in Mexico. And they keep hiring more, and they have this corner of the market to themselves. They become one of the top agencies in the world. And now we're going to see why that fell apart. So Shino Lila, who now goes by Eileen Noir, but Shino Lila is the name we're working with, multilingual VTuber. Again, most of them speak Japanese and Spanish because this is a Japanese company, is their big star, or one of them. So they're riding high on the success of them, and they suspend her. So their post on Twitter indicated a vague breach of contract, which was followed by 5 months of radio silence as fans grew increasingly panicked about where the hell she went. Because again, VTubers follow schedules, and when you've got your waifu on every Tuesday night at 8, you are glued in, ready to go, right? And she vanishes for 5 months. The only sign of life was that she posted, "I would like some cereal" in Spanish, which just made people feel weirder.
It's going to be extra creepy. It's more cryptic. Although I have to say, there are some podcasts I like where like they'll stop posting for a while and I'm like, did they die? And then they'll come back and I'll be like, well, who knows?
Well, that's, yeah. And your parasocial relationship to these podcasters, not going to be like VTubers for all the reasons we discussed.
No, this is much more. I don't even check. I'm like, meh, if they're dead, they're dead. What am I going to do? No, I'm just kidding.
There's other podcasts. Yeah. So
I don't like go searching though.
So her contract apparently lapsed. Wactor decided to dox her. They published her full name with the allegation she had committed an unforgivable sin, which was running a separate private stream, rather than a formal one under the company. In the fracas that followed, Shino claimed she attempted to resign from Wactor, who did not respond to her resignation letter, and instead suspended her, leaving her without pay for months. So she runs a private stream to make any kind of income. They then suspend another VTuber, Kurari Rose, for attempting to resign. So somebody gives notice they're not going to renew their contract. They cut off their pay. And then throughout 2022, talent began publicly graduating or vanishing without comment. Like there is like these disappearances of these popular VTubers. Now I'm going to talk about Misoa Hino, who her entire brand was like being a good hang. Introverted Japanese talent who learned to speak Spanish because of a Paraguayan friend, and far and above their biggest star. Most VTuber agencies have their top star who really brings them in. They got like that one where it's like Gargura with formerly with HoloLive, Iron Mouse with Vishojo, which is all over part 2. Good lord. But she's the big star. In November 22, Wactor posts she's not feeling well, and she starts a mystery hiatus. And they screwed this up. The cereal thing was not actually Eileen Noir / Shino. It was actually Misoa Hino, who posted Esto Horo Antoya cereal. I crave cereal. So she was the one who said that.
Right.
February 15th, 2023, shit hits the fan. 3 Wactor talents all post on Twitter at the exact same time. Misoa Hina posted on a private account stating she was no longer with Wactor due to a collapse of trust. Shino Lila, our former talent, a year after she's left, posted she repeatedly tried to contact Wactor because they were threatening a lawsuit and she wanted to know if they were suing her. Meanwhile, Kurari Rose, another talent they had fired, post Wactor is actually suing me and she's fighting it. But the big thing here, which I love, is 3 talents coordinate and do a direct action. They all post against the boss at the exact time and the exact place, in a like all together. Wactor
sounds like they need to unionize.
No kidding. Wactor was dealt a massive blow to its public perception and credibility, right? Obviously. It responded as one would expect, and that because they control the social media for all their talents, right? They have, when you control the IP, you also have the password to their social media, which is why you had those weird management-written social media posts from Nija Sanji. They decide to dox Misoa Hina in a way I've never heard of before. They share her full name, address, and social insurance number.
Oh
my
my god.
god. Now, Wactor, they're
Japanese. It's actually the Japanese government ID. Same deal.
oh my god.
Right?
Wow.
Well,
So
okay. That's a
Elon
lawsuit.
Musk's X.com decides this actually has breached our terms of service, which is astonishing because you could just be a Nazi there. And they
Yeah.
take it down. Wachter immediately posts again with a link to a YouTube video, which has the same information. YouTube takes it down. And then Wachter posted as a comment in like a self-comment in their YouTube channel, like a community note. And that gets taken down, which might be the first time YouTube's taken something like that down. Because not
Mhm.
only are they trying to dox her, they're really trying to dox her.
Oh my god. This is gross. This is trolls upon trolls upon trolls.
It's wild.
Are these people all 12 years old?
You look at some of the
Like,
CEOs
my
for
god.
them.
This is disgusting.
No, Wachter's CEO was very much a douchebag rich kid.
Mhm.
And my last story is going to be about the biggest douchebag rich kid, and we are nearing that. But yeah,
Yay.
douchebag rich kids with these startups is a huge thing in VTubing.
Oh, it's such a lovely industry.
Oh, it's great.
It's great.
Misora Hino shares afterwards that she believed Wachter did this because she is half Japanese. And when you are half Japanese in Japan, it's a problem. And she was
Mhm.
bullied severely when she was younger, to the point that she had attempted suicide multiple
Yeah.
times. She did note she no longer lived in Japan. But it's not only that they doxed her, they went out of their way to like demonstrate, I forget the term, but that she's half Japanese, specifically to encourage more harassment.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Now, she moved
Yeah.
on to a new career as Mecha, and Wachter kept at it. By September 23, they had 4 active VTubers and had hired 40 people in 2018. So they do what you do when your product is destroyed. They're rebranded as 910 Inc. Apparently, it kind of looks like something cute in the Japanese characters. It's a pun that doesn't work. The 4
Yeah.
remaining VTubers then all quit at once, blasting the company over inhumane treatment.
Mhm.
I'm going to read one of their notes from Himaragi Ageha. I, Himaragi Ageha, am ready to inform you that I've been the victim of the following dealings by the agency. Forcing me not to do work that was not included in my contract. False hire. The amount of work was not proportional to the salary. Intimidating and high-pressure behavior. Sexual and power harassment. Forced to express opinions which are not my own. Instructions prohibiting me from taking pre-written psychiatric medication.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Until now, I had not pressed charges because I owed my agency the money I needed for my activities. However, I ended up finding myself in a situation where I was under the absolute psychological control of the agency's executive staff for a long period of time, which pushed me to my psychological and physical limits. More specifically, I suffered severe withdrawal symptoms when I stopped taking my psychological medication, which led me to repeatedly self-harm and develop a dependence on alcohol. Finally, in March of last year, 2023, I made a failed suicide attempt, and despite this, the executive staff ordered me to continue my normal activities. I am now suffering from conversion disorder and will be hospitalized in the future as I have difficulty walking and speaking. Because of the
Oh my god.
of this, I come to the conclusion it's no longer possible for me to maintain a trusting relationship with my agency. As for the above
No
accusation,
shit.
yeah.
Sorry.
And the last sentence is, sorry. Lastly, I am sorry to have troubled everyone in this way. These may be my last words, but I genuinely love from the bottom of my heart all the fans who have supported me thus far. So, as
Very
we move to...
Bane.
Yep. Thankfully, again, everyone's still alive. I don't know
That's
how.
good.
Genuinely.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
For
So-
what? Like, this is just oh my god. Anyway.
There's money to be made.
Yep.
There's money, right? And this
Yep,
is a gold
yep.
rush, right?
It's money.
Although...
Yeah, that's right. Push,
I will
push.
say, if
Doing
you
it.
go to Twitch right now and look for live streams and sort for VTubers, the vast majority are going to have 0 people watching right now.
Sure.
Because it's like any entertainment. Most people are doing it for the love of the game. Everyone's got big dreams, and very few succeed.
Yeah.
Any kind of entertainment. I say this as a musician who makes pennies. Thankfully, I have a day job. But yes, so their entire roster quit. Everyone resigned in this company, but they kept on, and I'm going to leave the Wachter story with a real downer. In a good guys don't always win moment, it was exposed that 4 unnamed talents lost lawsuits against Wachter and were ordered to pay 10 million yen back to the company, roughly
Ooh.
$68,000.
Yeah.
It
That
I will-
sucks.
And the reason for this, one of them is in Japanese courts, public damage to a company's reputation is illegal, no matter how
Oh my
warranted it may
god.
be. And what's wild is
Wow.
only 2 of the lawsuits were in Japan. One was in Spain and one was in Paraguay, which leads me to believe that Masora Hina, whose fucking social insurance number was doxed by Wachter, was one of the people who lost out here. I have one more story to share before we move to part 2, where the stories change, and it's going to be about Cometa. So I'm going to talk briefly about sources here, because I actually had an edit of this where I named a bunch of sources throughout, and then that edit was lost. But I am primarily working for sources on the work of newstubers, and then going to original sources, the VTuber wiki, which is indispensable in order to get timelines right and some details, and just looking at VTuber discourse over places like Reddit in order to get a sense of the community. But the newstubers are essential because they bundle everything together. The newstuber industry is its whole thing, with the problems of a nascent news startup where journalistic ethics or chasing the big story or trying to fill content can become issues. But I will shout out channels like Muujin, Arena Evenstar, and some other channels like that, which have been kind of essential. This one, Cometa, is built on the work of newstuber Rima Evenstar, because it's kind of a smaller company. But I think I want to talk about the startup fever, with VTubers desperate to get into talent agencies and rich kids with money to throw around, and what that can lead to.
Always good things. That's what I found. You give rich kids money.
Particularly
Nothing bad ever happens.
No,
men hiring women to entertain men.
Oh god. No.
And so Cometa was a Filipino corpo, started by Dean Estaruco, but we'll call him Jiro, which is his online name. He's a Nepo baby with dreams of being an internet celebrity. Wanted to be a big deal. He started VTubering and during that time ingratiated himself to another VTuber named Terumi. He strung her along with big talk of using his uncle's absurd amount of money to start a talent agency, and then, while talking to her, started talking about his dream of using his power to intentionally be creepy to the talent he managed, and even got her to sexually roleplay a power dynamic of a VTuber working for him that he was sexually extorting.
Oh,
He
gross.
got to launch Cometa and then refused to hire her.
Just yeah, unbelievable. This is just
Oh,
this is ultimately what it's about, though, isn't it?
oh my
It's
god!
about sexual exploitation. Ultimately, this stuff seems to me, but
And
I know there's nuances. But,
well, and it's again, it's an industry. The money's there. And one thing I do want to stress is most VTubers really do love doing this because they get to play video games and act wacky online and look like a cute anime girl. They like that, right? It's fun. It's genuinely fun. It is work that people love doing and people love participating in. But there's this enormous dark side and these wildly exploitive companies taking advantage of this.
That's right.
So our thing or not, and understanding the all sorts of gender politics within anime style and VTubing and all that, most people really love doing it. It's just that
it's the structure around it.
And also the grind and the lack of protections for anybody doing this work. The lack of protections is huge. So this is a small company with 3 talents, Virgil, Miria, and their top talent, Elaine. So Terumi, the woman he was talking to previously, kept hanging out with the talent because the Filipino VTuber space is small, and was eventually just blacklisted. So she couldn't associate with the company at all, completely shunted off to the side. And so he didn't run the company. Rather, he worked to become an internet celebrity playboy, while the talent had to manage their own affairs and do everything by hand on their own, which is the entire point of working for a corporation.
What's the point then? Yeah.
Notably, he posted a weird amount on social media, and I need to find one of these pictures for you because, and I'm sorry, Jen and Tracy, you're going to be very unhappy to see this picture, but it's important.
Boy.
Well, I'm always showing you guys unhappy pictures too, so it's I gotta take it in kind.
Oh, I wonder how I can get this to. I want to say I'm gonna send this to you over Facebook because I can't think of an easy way to do it.
I can't get it. I don't have Facebook. My phone's over there.
Go get your phone, Jen. We'll take a second. It's important. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Incoming.
Am I going to scream? Oh no.
Well, it's too small to read.
So what he's saying here, the past couple of days were a lot of fun. I had lunch at Din Tai Fung with the talents. The food was so good. The next day, staff and I went to cosplay Matsuri at IKEA, who brought home Essential. Pick related. I should have shown this a long time ago, but the staff's actually very tall. And
Like,
to describe this for the audience, Jen.
look, it's a guy. He's wearing glasses and a mask. Looks like a little dorky loser. It's a picture of him with arm around a woman, and the only thing you can see of her is his head is nestled above her ample bosoms.
Yes.
I would say. So it's a picture of a woman's bosom.
He took
and
so many of
this
these
guy.
pictures of
And they're
this
just
guy
boob
taking
pictures.
selfies with his. And again,
So
this
he's,
is
like,
his
in the boobs.
This is
Yeah.
his staff member
Yeah. Like,
who
this
is
is
calling
gross.
Admin-chan or something like that, and he just keeps on taking selfies with her tits.
Wow.
Yeah, it's loser shit.
And, like, joking about, like, well, we sure had some exercise earlier, like, that kind of stuff. Ah, I hate this guy.
Again, these people are all 12 years old. It's disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the talent
shit, yeah.
are going on with no funding or support and broken promises, while Jira is out there taking tit selfies. And even, like, in one case, like, being subjected to public mockery if the owner felt it funny enough. The dam finally broke when their top talent, Elaine, graduated for multiple health issues. And this is really common in VTubing, and I want to stress something that's really gross. They disclosed all of her health issues.
Oh.
And they always do this, and I don't know why. It is not that the company should not know your health issues, right? If you're a VTuber listening to this, for the love of God, don't tell your boss why you're sick. Just get a medical note. Even if you're an independent contractor, unless it's in your contract saying you have to disclose your health issues to us, which is probably a violation of the law, just say you're sick. Your boss has no reason to ever know why you're sick, right?
It's part of the drama, right? I'm sure it
Oh,
is. It's everyone wants to know. You have all these fans who want every last detail. You know, and to them, they don't care.
Well, again,
I mean,
it's a form of
awful.
protection of the talent, right? And the trick is that the fans want to know, but the company doesn't have to tell them, but they always do. They disclosed that she had pre-diabetes escalating into diabetes type 2, schizoaffective disorder, hearing loss. So the fans are united behind Elaine with support, and she then did a weird thing, and I forgot to mention this with Walk. During all of the Walker drama, they started having auditions to replace the talent, but keep the models. Now, this is an insane thing in VTubing, because it's not the model that you love, it's the person.
Yes.
And it is like if Joshi
It's
Sensation...
like replacing actors on a soap opera.
Right. Or it's like if Joshi Sensation, the Dark Phoenix Saya Kamitani, was replaced with some guy. We'd all be furious.
Well, it's like Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Exactly. It's the same thing, except that you're in a parasocial relationship with this person.
Yes.
And obsessed with that personality. So fans hate this. Huge blow against Wachter and considered a cardinal sin. So cardinal, no one even thought of doing it before. And then Elaine holds a stream where she talks about how she's going to help choose her replacement to carry on the model, which everyone hates and is weird. So when she's doing this, the fans explode into infighting. There's a petition to not replace Elaine with a Elaine Mark II. And while the fans are tearing everyone and each other apart, Jirai holds a strange stream where an anonymous friend is hanging out with him, who turns out to be Elaine, who, like a few months after graduating, I believe. I don't have the timeline written here. One of the other VTubers, Miria, completely breaks down and posts that she just started sobbing at work because she found out that Elaine was now still working with Jira. Elaine then tries to cover it with a heartbroken voice note about how she wanted everyone to stop fighting. She just kind of wanted to, like, see the scene a little bit, but wasn't regularly streaming. But the entire company ends up quitting, Miri and Virgil, that is, leaving Cometa without any talent. Everything blows up. Everyone's angry about this, and the Discord staff, because there's a big company Discord, revolt in public because they feel that everyone's attacking them because they're the access to the company, and the company's left them out to dry. And now people are like, wait, what's going on with Elaine and Jira? And start doing the matching objects thing and seeing the same wooden spoon in hand streams and things like that.
Okay.
So the company technically continues existing, But then Rima Evenstar, the news trooper I'm using as my primary source for this specific story, releases a video, and that kicks off a hornet's nest because she's covering what's happened to date. And formal talent finally starts speaking up. Virgil, one of the 3 talents, resurfaces under a new name, Mogi, and calls out Jira for being an egomaniacal rich kid and a sex pest, who, importantly, relied on extortion and what I'm calling mafia-style threats to coerce talent into doing whatever he wanted. Because what he'd say is, my rich uncle has connections and he's going to get you.
Sure.
And he was so out of control with threatening, coercing his talent and losing money and acting like the biggest asshole in the world, his rich uncle stopped bankrolling him. And then finally, yes.
Mm.
And
wow, a Nepo baby faced consequences?
yes.
Amazing.
And I know. And Elaine, who at this point is not is seen as somebody who is, because it's, are you pro Jira or anti Jira? That's the way the fans frame everything, right? Are you on the side of the devil or are you virtual? People always do dichotomies. Elaine, who is seen as a pro Jira pariah and traitor, speaks up. She shares that after being hired, Jira heavily romantically pursued her, using her physical and mental vulnerability, and eventually pushed her into a relationship by ingratiating himself such that her entire life was dependent on him. So, and again, this is somebody who has escalating diabetes, schizoaffective disorder, and a very difficult job that doesn't help with mental health. He then forced her to use birth control because he doesn't like condoms, which she was not supposed to continue because they worsened her mental health and her diabetes. The birth control thus caused her to get diabetes type 2 and destroyed her mental health severely. She had a stroke during all of this.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
She clarified she never actually lived with Jira, even though there was that relationship. There were images from like a third location they used for streaming. So here's a final quote from her. God knows the amount of breakdowns, attempts to take my life, and heavily medicating myself with painkillers alongside the medications for my brain just to numb myself so I can keep going and stream. I never wanted to be in such a disgusting state again. I wanted to leave and I wanted to rest. I never should have agreed to the relationship the CEO put me in. This should have never happened. It cost me my health, my life, my friends, and my will to continue to do what I love. I would like to apologize to the former Cometa and Joyous for hurting you with the choices I've made in the past. You were part of my journey as Elaine, and I'm still happy I was given the chance to meet you. If you would like to still give me a chance, please find me. To my gen mates, I never meant to hurt you. I know you already know this, but please know I didn't know the whole story. Once I was told, I'm very sorry. Cometa, thankfully, completely collapses, and Jira tries to defend himself but goes to ground, his dreams of being internet celebrity destroyed, and not a post on his Twitter account in quite a while.
Well, good.
So, that
This
finally...
is a happy ending, kind of.
you know what?
I
He got
mean-
his just desserts. So, I have a million more stories about black corporations I could tell. These VTuber agencies that find vulnerable young women, promise them everything, and destroy it all in a fit of hubris and idiotic business decisions. However, I wanted to split this podcast into 2 parts because none of these stories are the ones I wanted to tell in the first place.
Really?
Because when you see a giant soulless corporation like HoloLive and its evil twin in Nijisanji and then exploitative startups everywhere, there's a gap in the industry. And into that gap is going to enter a nice guy.
Really? A real nice guy? Or an internet
Why
nice
don't I
guy?
trust this nice guy?
Next episode, we're going to discuss the VTuber agency VShojo and its great promise of talent freedom.
Wonderkamer.